always at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, Alex, and there's big questions abounding from the Twitter sphere because they want to know who's going to start, Hufanga or Tartt, Greenlaw or Al-Shaair, who deserves it or Al-Shaair, depending on what broadcast you're watching.
What?
Thing.
This is a thing?
It's a thing. It's a thing, though.
Wow, home of the faithless. It's just we're here. We're here with this. On top of
always
practice
conversations about who should start, especially when there's like rookies out. The 49ers faithful like to start rookies 100%.
I'm glad the 49ers faithful is not in charge of the organization, Ant. But that's my own, I guess, personal opinion and stance on it. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. Everyone's gonna feel a certain way about it. Let's get into this conversation, which I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting more practice news. The fact that practice news is just a single line up there, Ant, and the rest of it is this. I guess this is a big, huge deal. And you know what? Let's dive into the conversation. Then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's quickly just blow through this practice news. Then, essentially, what you have is Darrion Daniels hurting himself dancing during warmups on Wednesday.
Two-step and went down.
Two-step and down, which is not ideal for Darrion Daniels or the 49ers. Get well. Hopefully it's a shorter stint on IR, but we're going to have to wait and see. And then from there, the 49ers placed him on IR and then went after, defensive end Chris Slayton.
Yeah.
So they bring in Chris
He was
Slayton
with the New York Giants earlier this season.
And it's on the practice squad,
Yeah, it's
correct?
a practice squad, yeah.
Okay, 6'4", 307 pounds, 7th round selection out of Syracuse in 2019. So there you go. He's been on a couple different teams in the NFL, so he spent some time in the league with a lot of different people, and that's the big updates so far. That's the big updates from practice and what's going on with this team.
It wasn't a normal Kyle Shanahan speaking day. When you don't get Kyle Shanahan speaking day, you don't get updates on injuries or any of that stuff. So those will come today. I mean, that's when we'll get it, is today, right during the middle of the frenzy.
Sure.
You'll get some Kyle Shanahan news, and they'll update everyone, and we'll get a better idea of where Elijah Mitchell's sitting. So yeah, it's going to be a big day overall, but yeah, no real news except the report that David Lombardi says that Darrion Daniels got hurt dancing during the pre-part of practice.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, rest easy, Darrion Daniels, RIP to the roster spot, and it's
too bad we didn't have Mr. Miyagi.
Oh man, good old heat therapy there would have made it all better.
We don't know what it was. I mean, he fixed.
It's magic.
He fixed Danielson with some voodoo or something. I don't know what he does. The voodoo that you do, it was amazing. So I'm not sure what it is, but if you watch Cobra Kai, he did not pass that down to Daniel LaRusso. He's not able to make that happen.
What's happening? What is this episode? Where are we at? Where are we going, Ant? Because Hufanga and Tartt, Greenlaw versus Shaair, these are questions that apparently the faithful have on Twitter. I'm not surprised by this. Twitter's an interesting echo chamber of a space where a lot of the same ideas basically just bounce around until people feel like they're 100% justified because that's all they're seeing and all they're reading and all they're hearing. Let's start with Hufanga and Tartt, because Hufanga and Tartt is one where Hufanga has most recently come into the lineup and has played very, very well in the opportunities and the snaps that he has gotten. He's done a lot of good things for this team, and Tartt is a guy who's been consistently played well for the 49ers at the safety position. And when he's been in and when he's been healthy, has been absolutely phenomenal. He's a guy who hits, he comes down and fills in the box. He usually covers very well in space. He's of the two, between him and Jimmy Ward, he's the one that's consistently created the most turnover opportunities for the 49ers. Where are you at on this, and where is the fan base at on this? Because I have a feeling the fan base is, because you mentioned earlier with rookies wanting to play, that a section of the fan base really wants Talanoa Hufanga to be the guy going forward.
Yeah, I saw some polls, on Twitter and stuff, and there was one poll in particular where Hufanga was over 70% of the vote for him to start over Jaquiski Tartt. I'm sorry. And this was kind of surprising to me. I thought it would be a little bit closer, but there's definitely not the respect for Jaquiski Tartt that there is for like a Jimmy Ward, for instance. They are definitely ready for Talanoa Hufanga to start, at least on Twitter. As far as what I've seen on film, I'm not ready for Talanoa Hufanga to be the long-term starter. I think there's still some development that needs to happen. Jaquiski Tartt was having a very quiet yet very good, first part of the season and was playing very well. And there's no surprise that Jaquiski Tartt goes out and the defense starts struggling a little bit on the back end. Jaquiski Tartt affords them a lot of opportunities and things that he can do. Is he as good as Jimmy Ward? No, he's not. But he's a nice Robin to Jimmy Ward's Batman. They play well together. The flexibility to be able to play in the box to stop the run. Also, he can go help on screens. If you match him up on a tight end or a running back, he can win. Those are all things that are advantages for the 49ers. He's better in coverage than Talanoa Hufanga is right now. I think Hufanga is going to continue to get better. But Tartt plays physical. It's not like Hufanga is a lot more physical than Jaquiski Tartt. Tartt has a lot of flexibility in his game. I think that Tartt is the guy. Tartt is the guy that's going to quiet down the secondary. He's going to be the one that comes in with him and Jimmy Ward. You feel really comfortable about that position. I've loved seeing the improvement from Huff. I think that Hufanga has made a lot of improvements this season, and I'm excited about his future. But right now, it's still Jaquiski Tartt's spot. He should get it back, and he should go in there and help this football team. And I think that whenever Hufanga's number is going to be called, he's going to be out there. And I do think there's going to be some 3 safety looks. We saw a little bit of it in this last game. I think we'll see it even more now that Jaquiski Tartt's back.
Agree with you on that. I do agree with you, and I think it's very funny the similarities between the two, in terms of their early trajectory of their career and what was being asked of them. Jaquiski Tartt very early in his career was a guy that got blitzed a little bit more. His rookie campaign in 2018, he was blitzed 12 times. They blitzed him, I think, 12 different times in the 8 games that he was a part of, played and started. And then in the 2019 campaign, it was 13 times. A guy who started 12 games in that season. So there is similarities there because Hufanga has been blitzed a lot, and 8 so far through 3 starts, essentially. So similarities in terms of maybe how they want to use them and where they're at in their early development as players, which is a positive thing for the 49ers and is a positive thing for Talanoa Hufanga. I understand people seeing what he's done so far and wanting to roll with that. I get that. I 100% get it. There's just one problem. He doesn't do certain things better than Jaquiski Tartt. He's not a better coverage guy than Jaquiski Tartt right now. They're about even in terms of stepping up in the box and coming up against the run. And in all honesty, I would still give the edge to Jaquiski Tartt, because what I haven't seen is when
100%.
Jaquiski Tartt has come down into the box, I haven't seen him misplay run fits and get beat. I haven't seen him miss tackles in spaces as frequently as Hufanga has at times to bring the guy down in space. He fits better in the run scheme, and that's because he been in the system longer. He understands the scheme. He understands what he's seeing offensively and what a team's showing him. He watches the film and goes, hey, when I see these types of formations, these types of motions, on this side of the field, on these downs and distances, this tends to be a run this direction. Let me step up in space here sooner. Hufanga's late at times. And he's a rookie. And everyone going, well, the only way he's going to get better is to get game reps, and game reps. That's what matters most, is the reps in the game. No, you learned those things via film, just like Jaquiski Tartt did early in his career when he started only 20 games through his first 2 seasons, and developed through practice and film study. And I don't understand what's so hard to get about this. Like, there's nothing wrong with a guy waiting. Nothing wrong with with you as a coaching staff taking your time, getting the guy in when it counts most, when he can have the biggest impact, rather than throwing him out into the fire. This isn't a garbage team. This is what garbage teams do. This is what Jacksonville does. Right? This is what the Jets have done. The Denver Broncos up until this season, and they got themselves a semi-decent quarterback. This is what they did. Bad teams in the NFL play their young players because their veteran players are bad. Good teams in the NFL play your veteran players and develop your young talent because your veteran players are good. This is a very simple formula that people just, for whatever reason, either choose to ignore or just don't want to wrap their heads around the actual reality of this football team.
There's also a recent history, right? Tarvarius Moore is another guy that they're very high on at the safety position, but they were working him in. And then you saw what he could do in that Super Bowl game where he came in and he made some big plays in that game.
Big interception.
Because they developed him. They worked him in. They figured out how to use him. That's no different than what they're doing with Talanoa Hufanga. He's going to develop nicely. He's going to be a very solid player for this organization in the future. Right now, Jaquiski Tartt just affords them the best opportunity. They were able to run more left and right safety looks, when he's in there than any other time.
Disguise more
Hufanga
coverages.
has to show early in the box. They put Hufanga in the box a lot. Jimmy Ward doesn't play in the box as much when Hufanga's on the field. It's just not what they do because Hufanga has weaknesses in the back end of the defense.
And it's different types of disguising with Talanoa Hufanga on the field. You know what you're
100%.
not getting a lot of, Ant? You're not getting those rotation looks, right? Where Jimmy Ward's in the box, Tartt rolls late, Jimmy rolls back, or inverse,
especially
vice versa.
with motions.
Or, right, they show 3, and then he's middle of the field, Tartt's middle of the field, and then they rotate over back into 2, or even if it's cover 4. It's different. With Hufanga, it's showing 2 and then walk him down early into your 3, right? Or even your cover 1. It's he's in the box early, he starts to show late, or sticks. I mean, it's
simplified.
It's much simplified, and it has to be because you can't give him too much to think about. He's already doing enough thinking. He's already out there thinking a lot because he's a rookie and he's trying to process what he's saying. Okay, we did this week. I've seen this on film. I think I'm probably supposed to, let's go do it. Right, I'm supposed to be here. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Or they're just sending him on blitzes in which, okay, now he gets to play to his strength, right? Because you don't have to think. When he's blitzing, it's no thinking. I know the area I'm supposed to attack in. I know what my responsibility is here on this blitz. I know what lane I'm supposed to be filling and where I'm supposed to be. Let's go get the football. Let's go get the football. That's all I have to do. Go after the guy with football, right? Ball snapped. Quarterback takes the ball from the center, and then sometimes he'll drop back like he's gonna pass. But then sometimes he hands the ball off to the running back, and then I go tackle that person.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing it does is, they like bringing Shark on blitzes.
True.
When you have Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt, they can cover in that slot if needed, especially if it's a tight end, or if it's a running back. They can cover that. And then you can bring, K1 off the edge. But when it's Talanoa Hufanga, you're worried about that matchup. That's not a good matchup for you, and you're trying to put your players in good matchup situations. So I think right now it's just a little early. I get it. I get why people love Talanoa Hufanga. He's a big hitter.
He's gonna be a big piece to this team.
Oh, and he's exciting. He's fun to watch, and he's exciting out there. He flies around. There's an infectious energy with him, but we don't need infectious energy from him. What we need right now is the best play possible. And right now, Jaquiski Tartt is a better player than Talanoa Hufanga.
Top to bottom.
It doesn't, complete player. It doesn't mean 2 years from now, probably even 1 year from now, Talanoa Hufanga is going to be the guy. We just have to wait a little bit longer. But right now, the chemistry and the way that those two guys are able to play together with Tartt and Ward, they played together for a long time, is something that you need on the back end. I thought they kept the back end pretty quiet over the first part of the season until Tartt got hurt.
I'm gonna be honest. How dare you? How dare you make the fan base wait even more than they're already having? They're already having to wait for Trey Lance. They're already having to wait for Trey Sermon. How dare you make them wait even longer? Talanoa Hufanga. How dare you?
Interesting, they have to wait for everyone whose names start with a T.
You know what? They just don't like T's.
Yeah, I guess not. I get it. I get why everyone wants them to, be in there and play right now.
They made him wait for Travarius Moore too.
But you know what's going to be nice? Another T. Next year though, they'll be playing. You know what I mean? Well, maybe I don't know about Trey Sermon, but they'll be playing. I honestly don't know. Because
that Trey Sermon situation is a mystery wrapped in a burrito, wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in.
You can see Hufanga strides, right? You can see it.
It is.
You can see it from training camp to week 1 when he went in the game.
There are two guys on the defense, young guys on the defense, where you see it. You can see it with your eyes, the development easily. You don't have to find the little details. You don't have to evaluate. Yeah. It's Talanoa Hufanga and it's Diamadou Lenore. Their development has been very, very apparent from the start. Extremely apparent from the start. People were calling for Diamadou Lenore early in the season instead of Josh Norman. We weren't wrong about that. It's very obvious that if you give these guys time, it's better for this team now and the future. It's the best decision overall for the organization. I understand wanting to roll with a young guy because you want to see what he can do. You want to get excited about this piece that you drafted and that you got that's doing big things. It's ahead of schedule. That's, blowing your mind in terms of his elevation, his execution, where he's at in the system. Enjoy Elijah Mitchell. Just enjoy Elijah Mitchell. You get all of those same feels with Elijah Mitchell. And the only difference between that situation and the rest of them is the guy who was in front of him is out for the year. And in these cases, that's just not the case. There are guys in front of him who are available, they're ready, they're healthy, and they're playing great.
Well, they didn't bring any running back in that they thought could take that spot.
Correct.
When Jason Verrett went down, there was somebody ahead of Diamadou Lenore. When he came, they didn't believe Deommodore Lenoir was ready to be that full-time starter, so they went and got Josh Norman. That's understandable.
But here's the thing, right? If it were truly the case that Deommodore Lenoir was ready, and you still made the move for Josh Norman, Deommodore Lenoir would have found a way to supplant himself over Josh Norman by some point.
Oh, 100%. But they didn't believe that. And they didn't believe that his development was going to be where he could get ahead of Josh Norman this season.
It was never supposed to be.
No,
I mean, you and I
100%
both
it
know
wasn't.
that.
Yeah,
you and I both know that.
They knew Ambry Thomas was a project. They knew Deommodore Lenoir was a project. And they believed that these two guys were going to help them next year when they had to make big decisions on Jason Verrett and K'Wan Williams.
Correct. That's what it comes down to, Ant. It's just frustrating to me. I can't wrap my head around this. I cannot wrap my head around why you would want this right now if you're the 49ers fan base. You know
what I want? The best player to play.
That's
I honestly
all,
don't care.
That's all I care about. And as much as I love what Talanoa Hufanga has done, he's not better than Jaquiski Tartt.
Not right now.
By no measures.
And if the
film
coaches,
doesn't show it, stats don't show it, nothing shows
well,
it.
unless the coaches play, they're not going to play Jaquiski Tartt over Talanoa Hufanga if Hufanga's better. Hufanga's going to play. They're not paying Tartt enough money for that to happen.
Accurate.
Right? He's not a big time. It's not Jimmy Ward. It's not Fred Warner. Like, you're not paying someone, enough money. So this comes down to play. And if Jaquiski Tartt goes back in, which he will, it's because he's a better player right now than Hufanga. It doesn't mean he's going to be in a couple years or even next year, but right now, he gives the 49ers the best chance to win.
It doesn't even mean by week 17 that he'll still be the best option. Things change in 100%. The NFL in a hurry, and health can be a determining factor in that. And Jaquiski Tartt's health has always been a question mark.
Yeah, it has.
It's always been a question mark.
Yeah, that's why it's nice having Hufanga.
It's great having Hufanga, and it's also why you put the onus on Jaquiski Tartt to show that he can be the guy that he needs to be, and if he can't or he's not healthy, you have the guy behind him that you're like, we already know what you can do. Let's go.
Yeah, the other thing that's going to be interesting is in December, Tarvarius Moore might be back. So when Tarvarius Moore comes back and you have that that grouping together.
Is Tavon Wilson bye-bye time?
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, you're at that point, right? You're in the playoff hunt. You might want Tarvarius Moore to be a backup guy.
I know I do.
Yeah. So
I know I do.
So that's the thing. The clock is ticking on that other spot, that fourth spot. But we might get super strong in December, right when it's time, for that official playoff
when it matters,
push.
When it actually matters most.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if he can come back. That's crazy quick, but that's what they were saying. They were saying December. So
Achilles.
They were
December?
saying he was improving faster than they ever thought.
Gee, many Christmas, man.
Yeah.
That's absolutely nuts. Tavarius Moore get healthy. Talanoa Hufanga keep developing. Jaquiski Tartt stay healthy, and let's let the big Talanoa Hufanga, as I like to refer to him in a jokingly not
in
serious
the William
manner.
Regal Umaga role. Yeah.
Exactly, and not just purposely not saying names correctly because it's funny.
Wisniewski,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just obvious though. He's the new man.
So he can't be Wisniewski. He's got to be Wisniewski.
He's new.
Oh, it's new.
New version of himself.
He's got a New Jersey number, so
it's true. I mean, he's not even the same Wisniewski from last year.
No, every time I see his number, I think, is that Elvis Gerback?
Hey, who's the backup quarterback we have out there? Yeah. What's he doing over there? Look though, this next one, Ant, is this might be even more blasphemous than the first one we just talked about. This versus is kind of crazy to me. Dre Greenlaw versus Azeez Al-Shaair. This one for me, I'm going to give my very simple answer first. Then I'm going to let you do your explanation and your expansion, and then I'll go into more detail. For me, this is really simple. When K'Wan Alexander went out, when K'Wan went down, right? And Dre Greenlaw stepped into the fold. Fred Warner was asked to do his job, and only his job, and be great at his job. And Dre Greenlaw took over that role for the leader of the Hot Boys, right? When Dre Greenlaw went down, and you only had Azeez Al-Shaair and Fred Warner was asked to fill the role of not only himself, but of Dre Greenlaw, and left Azeez Al-Shaair essentially on the interior to be able to play to the things he's good at, which is being quick, coming downhill, tackling in space, keeping things in front of him, and trying to help and fit in the run game correctly. The two guys are not the same. Azeez Al-Shaair has played absolutely great, and he can thank Fred Warner for that because Fred Warner is doing the things that Dre Greenlaw does for this defense. Fred's doing both so that Azeez doesn't get exposed for his weaknesses as a coverage guy and his weaknesses in terms of being able to cover, athletic guys in space and be able to play to his strength, which is to get downhill and try and make plays at the line of scrimmage.
That was a simple answer.
Simple.
Okay. I'm going to say this to everyone first. Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say. But nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish.
And mother truckers act like they forgot about Dre.
49ers faithful must have forgot about Dre.
Must have.
Yeah, I think that they forgot about Dre a little bit because he hasn't been in there since Detroit. But my simple explanation is that...
LOL.
No, my explanation on this is when you look at Dre and you look at Azeez has been flashing. That's 100% accurate. Azeez has moments where in these run fits where he flashes, he gets in there and he makes big plays. He's a big hitter. Those are all great things from Azeez. Absolutely. What you're getting from Dre, though, is a more complete linebacker. He does the run fits, but he's also better in coverage. He's a better tackler. You had the situation where you had Azeez miss the tackle in the open field against the Cardinals, and that was a big play in the game. Dre Greenlaw misses less than 4% of his tackles. Like, that's going to be a tackle. He's going to make that play. Those are things you get from Dre. And I think that right now we're getting into that situation like we did in 2019 where Dre Greenlaw came in. He had played really well in that will position with Quan Alexander out. And everyone was wondering, oh, Dre, we can't have Dre come off the field like Dre's doing this. This is literally the same situation, just flip the names. But you know what happened when Quan Alexander came back? Quan Alexander went back to his role. And Dre Greenlaw and him kind of split a little bit of the time in the nickel. I expect that to be the same this time. But Dre Greenlaw is a better linebacker in coverage than Azeez Al-Shaair is. It's just that simple. So, yeah, you're going to get the flash plays from Azeez. And when you're in the base 4-3, that's good for the 49ers. Dre Greenlaw can be the linebacker that he is, take some of the pressure off of Fred Warner in coverage as far as covering tight ends, covering backs out of the backfield. And then Azeez can flash in the run game. This is what they were wanting. This is what they were hoping they were going to get in the first place. But yeah, Azeez is not quite there as a complete linebacker compared to Dre Greenlaw. Greenlaw is a better player than him, but Azeez is still going to flash. He's going to have great moments. But let's not forget that Dre Greenlaw had himself a nice first game against Detroit. Probably would have built upon that. I know I was thinking
QBR in week 1 against him in pass coverage was a 45.8 and a 45.8.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And what he does, too, is he secures the tackle if they do make the catch. There's none of that yak yardage against Dre Greenlaw. And I think that, it's just one of those things where you've seen the flash plays. So everyone is latching onto those. But I honestly believe that Dre Greenlaw was on track to be a Pro Bowl player this year opposite of Fred Warner. He was going to have, huge plays. And I think Azeez is getting some of that because Fred is who he is. They're going after Fred and leaving some opportunities for him. And now with Dre back in there, Dre's going to seize that opportunity. But all three of those guys is definitely a better situation for us. And I think as Dre works in, you'll see some Azeez more than you would have, if Dre had been starting the whole time. But once he works back in, I still think Dre Greenlaw is a better option than Azeez Al-Shaair right now.
Dre Greenlaw's 2019 season, for all of you who forgot, only 36 passes completed on him through 16 games. 36 passes for the entire season, folks. That's just over 2 a game.
Yeah.
Okay. Just over 2 a game. QBR that he gave up that year was 83. 83. 92 tackles on that season. Missed tackle percentage of 2.1%.
Yeah.
98% of his tackles ended up in him bringing the guy down in space. That was 2019. That's his rookie year. They both were drafted the same year. They're both rookies. Okay. Both rookie players in that same season. Okay. If you look at Al-Shaair's first full year as a guy who's starting, it was 2021 season. So if you take Greenlaw's first season where he played significant snaps as a starter, and you take Azeez Al-Shaair's missed tackle percentage is 10.4%. So 90% to the 98 that you get from Dre Greenlaw. A big difference there. On top of the QBR rating in pass. Okay, I read it off to you. 83% that first year. 116.3.
Yeah, he's terrible in coverage.
33 completions already on the season. Al-Shaair has given up. Greenlaw gave up 36 that entire 2019 campaign. There is a drastic difference in these two players in terms of their strengths, in terms of what they bring to this defense. It's not close. So if you're sitting here going, yeah, well, that's good and great and all, but Azeez hits. He hits hard.
Dre can hit.
Not only can Dre can hit, but you're talking about one aspect of the game of football and an aspect that can 100% have an impact, right? And can juice a team and get a team that energy. That's great. But that doesn't make him a better linebacker, top to bottom complete backer than what Dre Greenlaw is, right?
Right.
That would have been like saying that, I don't know, if Navarro Bowman, right, had a big smack on a guy. Well, Navarro Bowman hits harder than Patrick Willis. I mean, that's not accurate because Patrick Willis used to lay people out. But it's like it's taking one aspect of what they do as a linebacker that doesn't actually impact their ability to cover, fit and run fits, execution, being a surefire tackler. Hitting hard doesn't equivocate to those things. Just because you hit hard doesn't mean you're great in coverage.
Right. It would have been like Chuck Cecil being better than Ed Reed because he hit harder.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things correlate, right? Sometimes a guy is he lays the wood.
Ronnie Lott.
Yeah. He lays the wood, but he's just also that dude. Sometimes those things correlate and they equivocate, and you can look at both of them and be like, yeah, that's part of the reason what makes him so special, so different. He's so great, and he just absolutely destroys people. Azeez Al-Shaair is laying the wood and hitting people hard. I absolutely love it. But you know what he isn't? Consistent tackling in space. You know what else he isn't? Consistent in coverage. And you know what else he doesn't do? He doesn't make Fred Warner's job easier. He actually makes it harder because Fred's having to do both things while Dre Greenlaw is out. So once Dre back in the fold is going to make Fred the best version of Fred. It's going to allow Dre to be the best version of Dre. And the scary part is, with Dre Greenlaw, it's going to make Azeez Al-Shaair the best version of himself. This is what Dre Greenlaw adds to the linebacking room. He allows everyone to play to their strengths instead of taking a portion of someone's strengths. But I need you to cover for this because this guy's not quite ready to do it yet. I love Azeez Al-Shaair, and I had major concerns heading into this season with Azeez Al-Shaair, and he's completely blown my expectations out of the water. He's only had one really bad game that I can think of off the top of my head, and that was that Arizona game just a few weeks ago when he came back from injury. That is it. Other than that, I think he's done extremely well. He's played more than admirable at the linebacker spot and the linebacker position. He's been an absolute blessing to have, but in no world is this man starting over Dre Greenlaw if Dre Greenlaw's 100% healthy.
I don't think so either. And I think that you're right, that Al-Shaair's strengths are playing against the run, not playing against the pass. That's why it makes sense for him to play the position that he plays in this base 4-3 defense.
Accurate.
So getting these guys in there together, they're better together. And when you're building a linebacker core, you're putting these guys in positions, in the certain positions that they play, to be able to work together and then have their strengths, show on the field. And different linebackers play different positions because of their skill set. And that's what you're seeing here is you had Azeez step up, but he played outside his skill. He's playing outside his skill set, which forced them to play Fred Warner in situations where he was outside his skill set, or not outside his skill set, but outside of his position and what he normally does, because he has a skill set to do anything. So they just started being like, you know what? We can't have Azeez out there in coverage. We're going to put Fred in those situations, and Fred has been doing it. And a lot of people were like, oh, they haven't been playing Fred out of position. 100% they have been playing Fred out of position. He's been taking on a big role for this football team. And Dre Greenlaw's, showing back up is going to put Fred in great situations to be more successful. Just
watch what happens the minute Dre Greenlaw is back into this lineup. Teams like the Cardinals, the Rams, whoever it is, they still have Atlanta on the docket. They're going to do some funky stuff with Cordero Patterson in those games, putting him out wide with Mike Davis in the backfield, all those types of things. When Dre Greenlaw is back, watch where Fred Warner plays, because you know what he's not going to be doing? He's not going to be splitting the difference between, the tackle at the line of scrimmage and the bunch formation out wide. He's not going to be splitting the difference worried about the bubble screen or the screen action on the perimeter. No, he's going to be asked to get out there from the middle of the field. But if they try and run here up the middle, go blow it up, guy, because this is where you're one of the most elite guys in the NFL, is getting off blocks and making tackles in space at the line of scrimmage. And then you're going to be able to add in Dre Greenlaw, who can do both of those things, who does those things really well, right? Being able to play out in space and also coming to back in and fit in the run fits underneath inside. The 49ers just get better because all you do, right? What you're really doing is you're taking Fred Warner and replacing Azeez Al-Shaair in those nickel sets. You're taking Azeez off the field and putting Fred Warner in the spot that Azeez is currently playing and putting Dre in the position that Fred's playing. And now you have an immediate uptick in your linebacker play, because you know what, I can almost guarantee this. Any true 49er fan, you know what comparison they're not making is that Azeez Al-Shaair is better than Fred Warner.
Oh, there's some.
Don't even say that they're saying it.
Oh, there are some. A couple weeks ago, there were some that were saying they were ready for Azeez to be the guy. 100% there were. You just go on Twitter, you can find it. There's people that honestly believe that. There's prisoners of the moment. The one thing I will say though is you're right. Adding Dre Greenlaw back into this puts all those linebackers into situations where they can be successful. The one thing that we're also forgetting, Dre Greenlaw's a heck of a blitzer. Fred Warner, a heck of a blitzer. You know what Fred hasn't been able to do?
Blitz.
Because of the way that he's been having to play, he hasn't been able to. Yeah, they show the double A blitz, but he's been the one failing.
He's never blitzing.
No, he's not. He's been dropping. And with Dre Greenlaw back in, they will do that because Dre can match up with these guys, the running backs and tight ends, a lot better, and it affords them that opportunity, like they did with Patrick Wilson, Navarro Bowman, where depending on situation, you could have either one of them cover. And that's huge for the 49ers. They'll put these guys in some interesting situations.
Absolutely.
And then having the flexibility to have 3 safeties as well with Tartt and Talanoa Hufanga, it's going to give you even more, opportunities. So I'm definitely excited about these guys coming back. I'm a little surprised that people weren't excited just to insert these guys back in and be like, you know what, these guys are the starters. But you know what, this is how it goes sometimes. And so I am curious how people view this once Dre gets in there and starts playing the way he's going to play, because I'm telling you right now, Dre was on pace. The way that he's developing and what I saw in training camp and preseason, he was going to have a Pro Bowl season this year.
I'm still going to say All Pro.
And the injury, I'm not going All Pro, but we have an All Pro and he plays in the middle.
I know
it's hard to get 2 All Pro linebackers on a team. But I thought it was going to be Pro Bowl Dre this year, and I really think he's going to step up. I think he's going to play well, and I think once you get that grouping, those 3 guys together, I feel bad for other teams because the 49ers are going to be willing to sit in a 7-man box and try to force you to beat them. I think these guys might be able to handle it, so it's going to be fun, and it's going to be nice seeing Dre back out there. And I want to see Al-Shaair in the role that he was really being groomed and destined for, was to play that 3rd linebacker spot, not to be in coverage, but to be there in those run fits.
I'm excited to see that as well, Ant. I'm not excited about all the other stuff that you've been saying that is out there in the Twitterverse, and what?
You're shocked about things people say now?
That's like looking up at the sky and telling me it's red.
Well, it depends on if you're colorblind or not.
I'm saying there's no outside factors, right? There's nothing preventing you from seeing normal colors or seeing reality the way it actually is. If you don't have any hindrances on your ability to discern colors, blindness, things of that nature, if you look up at the sky and tell me that it's red, this is the same thing. It's telling me that Azeez Al-Shaair is the guy in this linebacking room and that he's better than Fred Warner or better than Dre Greenlaw.
Because they see flashes, Alex. I mean, they see like plays around the goal line where he flashes through and he makes a big tackle, and it's like, oh, that's what Patrick Willis used to. That's what Navarro Bowman. He must be as good as them, or he's better than Fred Warner. Fred Warner hasn't been making those flash plays.
When Navarro Bowman was flashing through and making those plays, usually Patrick Willis was eating up lots of blocks and things of that nature to open those opportunities up. And when Patrick Willis was flashing through and making plays, sometimes it was because he's just that dude and just absolutely incredible. And a lot of times it was because Navarro Bowman was the guy blowing things up and creating problems for guys to get up to second level, or his front was. It's almost like, complimentary, right? If your D line's playing really well and not getting pushed off of their spots, the linebackers tend to be able to flow downhill really well, read, diagnose, and make plays at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, 100%. That's that defensive line with Justin Smith and Isaac Sopoaga and those guys.
Oh man, I always forget about Sopoaga.
Yeah, those guys kept double teams and held people down so those linebackers could flow. And I mean, Justin Smith was a big impact on a lot of that 49ers defense. So yeah, it definitely is the case. If the 49ers defensive line was 100%, if you had Kinlaw and all them, you would see even a better improvement.
Absolutely.
But I think that they're figuring out how to handle this, and yeah, it's complementary football. It all works together: linebackers, and defensive backs.
People helping people, Ant, like we like to say around here. All about people helping people. People helping people.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Good stuff, man. It's always good stuff. Look, let us know what you think about all of this versus stuff down below in the comment section. Do you completely disagree with us? 100%. It's not Tartt's time. It's Hufanga's opportunity. And Al-Shaair is that guy, and we're just dead wrong. And if so, why? Why specifically?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because maybe we'll have a more in-depth conversation with this. Maybe even a live stream where we get to talk about the arguments and the cases that you're making with you about this, because it is a very intriguing idea. It is a very different thought process than I know I have. And it's a thought process that I never even began to consider because it's just not I don't know what the arguments are, right? I don't know what the arguments are that are being made. And so let's talk about it. Let's converse about it. Leave it down below in the comments section. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and some F's in chat for Darrion Daniels. Spam them right now. All the F's. You won't get timed out or anything like that for spamming F right now, because apparently he can't help himself, and he's got the itch to boogie and to groove, and now he's on IR. So just sad.
It's tough. I mean, you never want to get hurt, dancing or celebrating. This is something that's happened to a lot of kickers in the past. And Darrion Daniels has fell victim to this. I hope it was, at least a Mac Dre or something really cool that he was getting down to.
That's true.
But who knows? Maybe it was cake to sneak.
Hey, don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I like it.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, sure. And all the lyrics and things that we did today, that was
the worst one. I know. It was absolutely the worst one. It was the cheesiest of all of them, man. It was absolutely the cheesiest. But that's what I'm here for is the cheese. Okay. I'm here for the cheesy. Look, we love hearing from you, Cutback crew. We love our GOAT tier members over on Patreon and all of our members on Patreon, whether they're the catch tier, the MVP tier, or that GOAT tier. All the support over there is absolutely incredible. We got lots of great content still coming your way. It's just the middle of the Friday frenzy. You got a lot of stuff still coming to smack you right in the face from What's Good with Jay in the Bay after this at 2 p.m. Pacific time to Know Your Opponent. Not too long after that, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, where you're going to get to know the urban grinders, these Jacksonville Jaguars, and what the 49ers may be able to do to stop them. And then we still got a big Saturday game plan video coming their way as well, and lots of great content on the 49ers Cutback.
Oh, yeah. Friday Frenzies are always a blast. If you didn't get to check out the Madden simulation, go check that out. But yeah, we're just getting in the middle of it. We're getting prepared for this 10 a.m. start. So there's lots of cool stuff. Check it all out. Let us know what you think. I am curious about this conversation about these two great matchups and who you think should start and the reasons why. I'm going to read all these comments. I'm curious.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to the conversation. We'll see you on the next one. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.